Welcome back to Holding Space. I'm Dr. Barker. Today we're talking about something deeply personal and profoundly misunderstood. How complex trauma impacts relationships, not just romantic relationships, but friendships, parenting, work dynamics, leadership, even your relationship with yourself. Because complex trauma doesn't stay in the past. It shows up in how we attach, how we protect, how we argue, how we withdraw, and how we interpret the people closest to us. First, what is complex trauma? Complex trauma isn't just a single overwhelming event. It's chronic relational stress. It's inconsistent caregiving. It's emotional neglect. It's growing up in environments where safety, attunement, or predictability were compromised. And when trauma happens inside relationships, it reshapes how the nervous system experiences relationships. That's the key. If the original wound happened in connection, then connection itself can start to feel dangerous. The nervous system and attachment. Our brains are wired for attachment. From infancy, the nervous system asks one core question: am I safe with you? When that safety is consistent, we develop secure attachment. When it's inconsistent, intrusive, neglectful, or frightening, the nervous system adapts. Not because you're broken, because you're adaptive. And those adaptations often become relational patterns. Hyper-vigilance in relationships. If you grew up in an unpredictable environment, your nervous system learned to scan for threat. As an adult, that can look like overanalyzing tone shifts, interpreting neutral comments as criticism, waiting for abandonment, feeling too much or not enough. The amygdala, the brain's threat detector, becomes highly attuned to subtle relational cues. A delayed text message doesn't feel neutral. It feels like danger, not logically, but physiologically. And this is where many couples get stuck. One partner says, I just forgot to respond. The other partner's nervous system says, I'm about to be left. Emotional dysregulation and conflict. Complex trauma often disrupts affect regulation. When conflict arises, the nervous system may shift into fight, anger, defensiveness, flight avoidance, shutdown, freeze numbing, dissociation, fawn, people-pleasing, over-accommodating. What looks like overreacting is often a nervous system reliving an earlier experience of threat. The body is responding to history, not just the present moment. And until that distinction is understood, partners misinterpret trauma responses as character flaws. You're too sensitive. You're emotionally unavailable. You're controlling. But underneath many of these dynamics is fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of engulfment, fear of not being enough. Intimacy can feel unsafe. This one surprises people. Sometimes the problem isn't conflict, it's closeness. For individuals with relational trauma, intimacy can activate vulnerability pathways that once led to hurt. Being known can feel exposing. Depending on someone can feel risky. Receiving care can feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. So the nervous system may create distance, not because you don't want connection, but because historically closeness wasn't safe. Repetition, compulsion, recreating the familiar. There's another powerful dynamic at play. The nervous system is drawn toward what feels familiar, even if it was painful. If chaos was normal, calm can feel unsettling. If inconsistency was familiar, stability can feel suspicious. This is why people sometimes find themselves in relationships that mirror early attachment wounds. It's not conscious self-sabotage. It's the brain attempting to resolve unfinished emotional experiences. How complex trauma impacts self-concept. Perhaps most importantly, complex trauma shapes identity. Core beliefs often develop such as, I am too much, I am not enough, I have to earn love. If I make a mistake, I'll be rejected. And these beliefs silently organize relational behavior. You may overfunction, undercommunicate, avoid expressing needs, or become highly reactive to perceived criticism. The relationship becomes organized around survival strategies rather than mutual regulation. The hope: relationships can also heal. Here's the part I want to emphasize. If trauma happened in relationship, healing also happens in relationship. When someone responds differently than history predicted, when repair happens after conflict, when vulnerability is met with steadiness instead of withdrawal, the nervous system updates slowly but powerfully. Neuroplasticity doesn't end in childhood. The brain continues to reorganize in the presence of consistent safety. This is why trauma-informed couples therapy, EMDR, and attachment-focused work can be transformative, not because they erase the past, but because they help differentiate past from present, and that shift changes everything. A closing reflection. If you recognize yourself in any of this, I want you to hear something clearly. Your patterns make sense. They are not signs that you are broken. They are signs that your nervous system learned how to survive. The work isn't about shame. It's about awareness, integration, and building relationships that feel regulated rather than reactive. Complex trauma doesn't doom you to dysfunctional relationships, but it does require intentional healing. Thank you for spending this time with me on Holding Space. If this episode resonated with you, please like and subscribe so we can continue expanding these conversations around trauma and relational health. If you have questions or if you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, email us at barkerholdingspace@gmail.com. And as always, be gentle with your nervous system this week. I'll see you next time.